I'm about to graduate, so give it up for me again. This is my last performance at Kansas State, and I've done a lot. Obviously I do comedy, I've done poetry at President Meyer's inauguration, I've done latte art at Radina's. Do we have Radina's fans in the house? Y'all need to leave better tips. So y'all know what I usually talk about, racism, dick jokes. We'll get there. But I wanted to use it today to talk about something that men don't speak about enough, and that is feelings. And I'll be fully transparent. This is inspired by things I learned in class and Kanye West's Twitter account. Now I know it's been rough. Kanye's been on one. For me, it's very difficult because I'm a very big Kanye fan. I wore a pink polo to commemorate the death of the old Kanye. But the new Kanye's been tweeting all kinds of reckless stuff, talking about Make America Great Again, supporting our president, which is fine if you do that. Talking about whoopity poop scoop, which are his words and not mine. But amidst all this political stuff, he's also been talking a lot about love. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. I want to talk about love, and I know love is weird coming from the person who cut off Taylor Swift during her Grammy acceptance, but he also made My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, so clearly he knows something we don't. So he went so far as to say we should start a World Love One, which is the opposite of World War One, and I think this is a great idea, so long as it's not paid for by the taxes of the American people. And I've been thinking a lot about love recently, and this morning, literally this morning, the state of Kansas passed legislation that allows adoption companies to deny LGBTQ couples from adopting. This morning. Yesterday, this joke was about Oklahoma because they did it earlier this week. And it's crazy that in 2018, Kanye West can love Donald Trump, but the rest of the country can't love people who aren't straight. And, it's been, a lot of people think that the opposite of love is hate, right? But that's not true. The opposite of love is fear, homophobia, the phobia of homosexuality, not homo, I hate gay people. And I just don't know what people are scared of, right? Are they scared that someone with the same reproductive organs as them might sneak up and compliment them on their shampoo? And I know what it really is, right? Homophobic people are scared that people want to have sex with them. And what I'm about to say, I can't say because I have a lot of gay friends, but gay people don't just want to have sex with you, just like anybody else. In fact, if you're the type of person that gets blackout drunk on Thursdays and your GPA is only a little higher than your 0.08 blood alcohol content, straight people probably don't want to have sex with you either. I'm having a hard time understanding, right? It's all fear, right? Racism is fear too. Racist people are scared that black people could take over NASCAR. And when that day comes, every NASCAR track will have speed limits and police officers. Whatever it takes to secure the legacy of Dale Earnhardt VIII. But most of this anti-LGBTQ policy comes from the Conservative Party, the GOP, the Grand Old Party, or if you're Kanye West, the Get Out Party. And it makes sense that they're scared, right? Because the people passing this legislation, their rough demographic is white and straight, so their frame of reference is like Paul Ryan. And could you imagine having two Paul Ryans as dad? Terrifying. You wouldn't be able to catch a break, unless it was a tax break. Right, so there's all this racism, homophobia, and it all stems from fear. And I don't get it, right? So a lot of it is also ignorance. A lot of people just don't know things. And I know I'm very guilty, I'm part of the woke crowd. I'm very guilty of throwing around every social justice warrior keyword whenever I get into a political argument, right? Things like cultural hegemony and intersectionality, but whenever my dad's like, what about your automatic transmission? I don't know what that means. So, as communicators, right, as people who care about the world, we need to communicate better. So this is where the things I learned in class come into play. So a lot of people think that it's just gay and straight, but there's more to it. So it's like there's four working parts, right? You have gender performance, gender identity, sexuality, and sexual identity. Sexuality, sexual identity. So right, we'll start with gender. Like a lot of people think it's just boy and girl. That's not true. Like gender is not real. What happened was once upon a time, someone decided that people with penises should wear pants and people with vaginas should wear skirts, and they called it boy and girl and put it on bathroom doors across the world. Right? And then they decided that the people with pants and penises should be called boys and they should be masculine, which means they should be strong and like cars and readjust their boxers at really inappropriate times. And that women, or people with vaginas that bleed every month, we decided that they're somehow the weaker of the two, right? We decided that they should be called women and they should grow up and like princesses, and if they try and talk, we should interrupt them. And before I go any further, I know a lot of people ask me about myself a lot, but don't worry about me. Just know that if you text me and I text you back and the text turns green because you don't have an iPhone, it's an uphill battle for you. iPhone is my sexuality. I-sex. This is off script. Right, so there's gender performance, and then so for me, right, I like wearing pants. So I perform the gender we have called male. But if I liked wearing pants and makeup, some 56-year-old white dude would drive past me in a suburban neighborhood and call me gay. And that's where we get into sexuality, right? So sexuality is just who you have sex with. So if, for example, someone liked pants and makeup, but only had sex with people with vaginas, that person is still heterosexual. On the same note, if someone with a vagina likes pants, short hair, and watching football, but also only has sex with people with penises, that person is still heterosexual. So think of terms like gay, lesbian, bisexual, the same way we think of words like vegetarian and vegan, right? You give yourself a name based off what you eat. That's the picture. Big joke. Right, so now that we got that cleared up, like I don't understand why there's so much fear around the LGBTQ community that we won't even let them adopt children, especially when 51%, I've learned today, 51% of straight marriages end in divorce, right? And so you know the saying, if you don't learn history, you're doomed to repeat it. It's very true. Before, Americans, when we were like during colonial times, Americans used to settle on land, and now we settle on marriages. It hurts because it's true. Like 50%, that's every other person declaring their undying love and commitment to someone than being like, yeah, I'm good. And right, so 50%, like, it's just frustrating, right? And that's the only thing we're really saving these kids from is only having one Christmas instead of two. And so I think maybe I've done more intellectual labor than the genius Kanye West himself. And maybe he's just a great performance artist who's making us think that, if he can love Donald Trump, somewhere deep down in our hearts, there's people that we need to love more too, right? And everyone's afraid of something, right? I'm afraid of the police. Will every police officer kill me? No. Have the police officers of the whole United States killed 418 people already this year? Yes. And even here in Manhattan, the Riley County PD arrests people of color at 6 times the rate they arrest white people for marijuana possession. Why? Why are we scared of weed? I don't know. Personally, I think weed gets an awful reputation as a drug. It should be considered a seasoning, right? It makes right. Thank you. Give it up for weed. I think it should be considered a seasoning, right? It makes food taste better. You always know when enough is enough. And white people use it and we pretend they don't. Yeah, so Kanye West, if for some reason you see this, make me the 4th person you follow on Twitter @Loganati. Enjoy the rest of the show.